Why is it so hard, yet sort of easy, to buy this? The PS5. Well, we're going to be talking about all that and more, but first, let's get it out the box. As you can see here, I have one of the mysterious unicorns known as the PlayStation 5. This is the one I bought here in Japan, and buying it was kind of difficult, but also kind of easy. And I'm going to explain all of that in a moment, but I do want to get out of the box because I am really excited about having this finally. It is 1.5 years after the release of this product. It came out in November of 2020, and now it's coming to the end of April in 2022. And that means it's been basically 1.5 years waiting to be able to buy one of these. Let's get it out of the box, and I'll talk about how it was actually not too bad buying it here in Japan. It was hard, but in a way, they made it hard so that it would be easy to buy it. And I know that makes no sense. The hurdles that you have to jump over to buy a PS5 make it so that the people who actually want one can probably get one a little bit more easily. Let's have a look at what comes out of the box first. This is the first time I'm ever seeing one, by the way. Is a PlayStation 5 controller. I believe it is called the Dualsense. It does look really, really cool, and I think it does have a Marvel Avengers Endgame costume look to it. I don't know if they did that on purpose. The main thing that I'm worried about is how the D-pad actually feels on this controller, because as you know, I am a massive, massive shill for the original DualShock 4, so I'm looking for mine. I can't find it. For me, it just works perfectly because it's like quite in the middle between just separate buttons, but also being a connected D-pad with a pivot. The DualSense, however, this is the first time I'm ever pressing it. Let's see how it feels. Oh! It feels quite similar, but it's almost like all the buttons move together. It's a connected D-pad on the original one, but you don't feel it quite as much. It's quite subtle. The other buttons move with your thumb so that you're always in contact with the plastic. With this, it's a little bit more obviously on, it's like it's on a higher pivot. It does bring it a little bit more in line with the travel that you get on the main buttons. And in fact, they've gone the opposite way. It feels like they're a little bit softer and less clicky. I mean, none of the buttons are clicky, but they have less of an obvious actuation point on these buttons than they used to. But this is what we want to see. We want to get out the main event. Have to be very careful not to break it because you can only buy one of these per person. Yes! I can't believe the last time I unboxed a PlayStation was in 2000. I can't even remember. 13? 2014? It was a long time ago. Now, first impressions are, this is way more exciting than opening up the PlayStation 4. The prospect of having limited edition PlayStation 4s wasn't as exciting because the only thing that you could actually personalize on the PS4 was like this plastic hard drive cover. You could just sell the hard drive cover itself if you got the limited edition one and just have like a completely generic console underneath it. But this, even though in a way these are removable, it just feels like a limited edition of this could be so much more personalized than just those plastic hard drive covers. Wow. I can't believe I finally have one. It's been 1.5 years waiting to get an opportunity to buy this console. Now, there is one more thing in here that I want to unbox. It's a very unusual looking stand. Oh, I see. You like slide this cover like this to reveal a little screw. All right, let's just screw this in place. All right, PS5 now standing in a way that it won't fall apart. So, the PS5 finally sitting here on my desk 1.5 years after I've wanted to buy one this whole time. But in all honesty, I haven't actually been trying to buy one until more recently. So the thing about the PS5, as most of you probably know if you've tried to buy one, is that all of the stock was low. And so if you wanted to buy one, you either had to be on the pre-order list or you had to be there when stock magically appears sometimes. And so it's very difficult to know if you can buy a PS5 when you want to buy one. But with the release of Elden Ring and Gran Turismo 7, I was like, you know what? I don't really want to play Elden Ring with the massive load times on my base PS4. In fact, I've got a base PS4 Slim. Don't even have a PS4 Pro. I don't like the loading times on Gran Turismo 7, even though the game runs really just fine on PS4, and it looks pretty good in my opinion. Elden Ring, and just there's plenty of games that will load faster and have better settings available on a PS4 Pro or on a PS5. And I've wanted one for a while. I was like, now is the time to finally put the effort in and try and buy one. However, when I actually went to try and buy a PS5, I realized you just got to sign up to a bunch of apps on a bunch of shops that do lotteries. So it's like, I'll sign up for the lottery this week, and then I'll find out next week that it didn't work out. I'll sign up for another lottery, and then I'll wait another week, and then it's like, okay, it turns out I didn't get one. And this process just goes on and on and on, and you never really know when you're going to get one. Basically, I did it for like 5-6 weeks, and I never actually won any of these lotteries. So it's like, okay, clearly I'm never going to actually get a PS5 like this. However, there was one time when I walked into Yodobashi Camera, which is a popular electronics store here in Japan, and I saw someone buying a PS5. I actually saw this box. It was the first time I'd ever actually seen an actual retail box being purchased over a counter. So I went up to the counter. I was like, do you have PS5s in stock? He's like, which one do you want? I was like, the one with the disc drive? He's like, yeah, we got them in stock. I was like, sweet, yeah, I'll have one. Ring it up. Like, I was ready to actually just pass over the money and buy it right there. He goes, do you have a Yodobashi points card? I was like, yeah, of course. So I get my points card out. I show him, it's actually an app on my phone. So I was like, I show him my points card details. He's like, oh, do you have the points card Black Card Plus? I was like, what's a Black Card Plus? He was all, well, basically, if you want to buy a PS5 from that shop in particular, you need to have a Yodobashi credit card. So it's like a credit card and a points card in one, but you have to apply for it. I was like, okay, well, I'll just apply for the card. How long will that take? He's like, you can apply online or you can apply in the shop, and it will take 2 weeks. I was like, 2 weeks? It'll take 2 weeks for this card to arrive. I was like, but the stock is right in front of me. And the thing is, when I asked him, how often does stock come in? He's like, I can't really say, you never really know when the stock's coming in. So I was like, so I don't even know if the stock will ever come back in. It's like, maybe today I just got lucky. There was stock in the shop. Anyway, so I realized, okay, I don't have this credit card. I need to go home and apply for it, or apply for it at the store. So I went home and I thought, well, as long as I'm careful, it doesn't hurt to have this extra credit card. So I apply for this credit card online. And as a foreigner living in Japan, your name is going to be not in Japanese, Chinese characters, what Japanese people use to write their names with. So I don't have a kanji name. I have my name written in English, and they couldn't actually let me apply for the card unless I have a kanji name. So I was like, okay, I'll change my name to kanji, but you can't do it online. So you have to call them on the phone. I was like, can I change my name to Chinese characters? They're like, yeah, sure. But do you have a proof of ID that has your name written in kanji? I was like, well, no, because my name is always written in English. And they're like, well, we need to have the proof of ID be the same as the name that we're going to write in kanji, or rather katakana, which is a version of the Japanese alphabet they use to approximate your name into Japanese. Anyway, it turns out most of my proof of IDs don't actually have my name written in katakana, except for one, which is my residence certificate, which is printed at City Hall. So I had to go and get a residence certificate printed out so I could prove that my name was actually the same as the katakana version. And eventually it goes through. So I've been accepted for this credit card. I was like, okay, now I just have to wait for the credit card to arrive, or I can go to the shop and I can get myself the temporary credit card, which means you can use it immediately. I was like, well, that means I could probably buy this PS5 more quickly. So I choose the option that allows me to go to the shop and actually collect this credit card, the temporary credit card. And I basically don't make it to the shop. I've just got so many other things that I have to do. And I remember that the website says you have to click on a certain link. Clicked on the link. I was like, sorry, your card has expired. You'll have to reapply. I was like, what? So I have to reapply for this credit card, which fortunately doesn't take very long at all. In fact, I was able to apply for the credit card while I was on the train on the way to the store. And it gets accepted. So anyway, I make it to the store and I see a long queue outside of Yodobashi Camera. I was like, oh god, this is probably a queue of people all waiting to buy a PS5. So even though I've made it to the store, there's not going to be any stock by the time I get to the counter. Well, it turns out that line was actually for Pokemon trading cards. There was a new booster pack releasing that day. And so fortunately, there was actually stock at the shop. People were just lining up from before the store opened just so they could get these Pokemon trading cards, which fortunately, I wasn't going to buy that day. So I go in, I show my details, and I get my temporary Yodobashi points card. But then they give me the temporary card and they let me know that actually you can't buy a PS5 with a temporary card. So I've got this credit card, which I've applied for successfully, changed my name successfully, shown my proof of ID successfully, and the card doesn't actually let me buy a PS5. They're like, you'll have to wait for the real card to arrive, and that will take maybe 2 weeks to arrive. So I'm like, okay, so I'm in the store. I can't actually check on the stock because there's so many people going to buy Pokemon trading cards, but there's probably stock in the shop, and I'm going to have to come back in a couple weeks with a different card. I don't even know why I came to pick up this temporary card. What a waste of my time. So I go home and wait basically a couple weeks for this card to arrive, and finally the card does arrive. So I go straight to Yodobashi camera. I was like, I've got the credit card now. Can I buy it? And they're like, by the way, have you spent $2,000 at our store? I was like, what? Another condition which makes it harder for people to buy billions of PS5s and sell them at a higher price is you have to have spent over $2,000 at their store, and also have never bought a PS5 from their store ever before. Obviously, they can't check whether you've bought PS5s at other stores, but it's one PS5 per person, per credit card, and you have to have spent at least $2,000 at their store over, history, and it's most likely that you have spent that much money if you bought like a computer. Fortunately, I bought my Wacom Mobile Studio Pro, which actually there is a review on this channel for, and that costs like $2,400, so I'd easily pass that condition anyway. But finally, I do make it to the Yodobashi camera with my new credit card, which I've never used to purchase anything. I only have it because I wanted a PS5. I've spent $2,000, and I have never bought a PS5 before. And I asked the man, do you have these PS5s in stock? He says, yes, we do. I was like, yes, I can buy this PS5. The interesting thing about that, though, is that it was a Sunday afternoon. So I didn't have to search social media to find out which shops had stock. I didn't even need to get to the shop early. Sometimes you have to line up for an hour before the shop opens, or 3 hours before the shop opens. Clearly, there had been plenty of time over the weekend for people to go and buy consoles. And the man was just like, yep, now we got them in stock. So, all in all, I was finally able to buy this console. It was a massive hassle and particularly difficult being a foreigner living in Japan. But it does make it easier to buy one if you want one. It makes it basically, as far as I can tell, very, very, very difficult for people to try and buy tens and dozens of these consoles and try and sell them at a higher price online, which is what a lot of people have been doing. And because these people, they have like automated systems set up to know exactly which shops are getting stock in, and they can go and buy them all up quickly before anyone else. And whatever system you think you have, which is going to make it easier for you to buy one, these people who buy them up and try to make a profit out of them, they are one step, they're not one step, they're many steps ahead of you, and so it's they're almost always going to get one before you do. Unless the store has a system which prevents that sort of thing from happening, like having a credit card, having spent at least $2,000 at the shop overall on other stuff, making sure they have your ID and they know that you've never bought one before. All of these checks seem like a hassle, but it makes sure that the people who actually want to buy one to play games, and okay, you can only have one per person, but at least you can actually get one. Now, there are a few reasons why I'm not super keen on this process. Overall, I think it works fine, and I'm glad that they have it because it means that people who want one can buy one. But if you're a foreigner living in Japan, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult, because getting a credit card is quite difficult for foreigners in Japan. Now, there are credit cards that are easier to acquire, but store cards are, as far as I've experienced, quite strict. Now, I've been in Japan for like a decade. No, I've been living here for quite a while. I have a family here. I live in a house here. I've got a car here. I've got a job here. I've got a salary. Like, all of these conditions matter when you're applying for a credit card. A lot of people will move to Japan and then live here for like 3 or 4 years and then leave Japan before they ever reach a point when they can actually clear all the conditions required to get a store credit card. Some people might get lucky. Maybe some people have just really high salaries and maybe store cards don't really worry about that, but I'm a pretty average person with a pretty average salary, and it took me a long time to get to a point where I can actually get an in-store credit card. And the other thing is how they require that you have a Japanese name. Listen, the hurdles involved in buying a PS5 are numerous, but it's not insurmountable. And at the end of the day, yes, it does mean that the people who want one can get one. It just means that you have to jump through hurdles, and there will be a large number of, especially foreigners, who won't ever really be able to use this method to buy a PS5, because getting a store credit card for a foreigner can be quite a big hurdle to get over. But yeah, I just wanted to share this unboxing with you and to tell you the story of how difficult it is to buy one here in Japan. It's not just Japan though, it's around the world. It is difficult to buy a PS5. So if you have one, you're super lucky, not just because you have the money to buy one, but also because it's just finding a place that has stock that will allow you to purchase it. Like, I'm giving you my money. I feel like this is the constant story between me and Sony. It's just like, please just take my money. I will give you anything you want. And they're like, no, we have a very special system that requires a very particular kind of credit card that doesn't allow us to accept your money unless you're in this particular group of people. But finally, I was able to buy one, and with the silicon shortage, it's really not just Sony. It's all sorts of products that are in shortage. Do you have a PS5, or are you trying to buy a PS5? Do you have any stories, any horror stories of trying to purchase one and not being successful? Or do you have any success stories of how difficult it was to find the stock and find a place that actually had one and you were able to actually buy one? Let me know in the comments section below. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see stuff involving the PS5 or other unboxings of controllers and consoles and anything video game related and Japan related. Do subscribe to the channel. It's free to do so, and I stream on Twitch as well. You can come and watch me there or hang out on the Nihongo Gamer Discord as always. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next Nihongo Gamer video and or stream. Time to enjoy some games on the PS5.